Hi everyone, welcome back. In the previous video, we created the front-end login and registration page. Now we'll dive into the backend server and the MongoDB database to power your application functionality. This video will prioritize setting up the core functionality of the backend and database. Due to time constraints, advanced features like password hashing, data validation, and token generation will be covered in the next video. Let's get started. Setting up the server. We start by creating a new folder named server. Navigate to the server folder and run the command npm init-y. This will initialize a new Node.js project and create package.json 5 as its root. Install the necessary dependency following this command. Here's a breakdown of the packages. Express, a popular Node.js framework for building web applications. Mongoose, simplifying interactions with MongoDB database. Cores, allowing requests from different origins to interact with the backend server. NodeMon, a development utility that automatically restarts the Node.js server whenever you make a change to your code. Create the index.js 5 inside the server folders. This file will contain your server-side code, including the API logic. Open your package.json 5 and add a script start nodemon index.js. This script defines how to start your server during development. Finally, run the command npm start in your terminal. This will execute the start script, launching the server using nodemon. Before you begin, make sure you have MongoDB installed locally. You can find download instructions for MongoDB Compass on the official website. Open the Compass application after installation. Click the Connect button. Create a database. Locate the database tab, click the plus button next to database, or you can click on database tab and then selecting create database. A dialog box will appear. Enter a descriptive name for your database. My game. In the collection section, provide a name for your first collection within the database. Users. Collection names typically represent the type of data you store. Click the Create Database button to finalize the process. Go to index.js 5. Import dependency. We begin by importing a central module for our server. Express, Mongoose, Cores. Create an Express app. We call the Express function to create an instance of Express application. This object will handle routing, middleware, and server functionality. Parse incoming data. This line of code configures our app to parse incoming data in JSON format. This is crucial because Mod API exchange data in JSON. Enable cores. We add app.use cores to enable cores for on routes. You can configure stricter core rules later for production environment. Connect to MongoDB. We use mongoose.connect to establish a connection with our MongoDB database. To get a connection string, in Mongo Compass, click on three dots icon. Select Copy Connection String. Paste the copy string into your application code. Append /mygame to the connection string. This specifies your database name. The string specifies the connection protocol, hostname, port, and database name. Start the server. Finally, we call app.listen to start the server and listens for incoming requests on port 3001. You can choose a different port if needed. The provided callback function logs a message to the console indicating the server is running. Now that we have the login and register pages built on the front end as covered in the previous videos, let's focus on creating an API to store the user information in database. The first step when building an API is defining a model. This model acts as a blueprint for a data structure of your user information. It's like a template for each user document that will be stored in database. We create a dedicated folder for models. This folder helps organize your code and keep model definitions separate. Inside this folder, we create a file named user.js. To create the model, we use Mongoose, a popular library for interacting with MongoDB. We define the properties each user will have, along with their data types. For example, name is a string, email is a string, and passwords is a string. This ensures data consistency and validation within the database. This line creates a Mongoose model named user model. The first argument, users, specify the collection name in your MongoDB database where the user data will be stored. Make sure this matches the actual collection name you created. The second argument is the user schema that we define above. Then we export the user model so we can import and use it in the other parts of your application. After that, we can import and use this model in your main server file. So let's now define a post root handler for the last register endpoint using Express.js. The root handler function takes two arguments, request and response. This line attempts to create a new user document using the user model. Request.body refers to the data sent in the request body. It should contain the user data you want to store. If the user's creation is successful, send a JSON response containing the created user data back to the client. If an error occurred during user creation, send a JSON response containing the error message back to the client. We built the backend API for user registration. Now let's integrate it with the front end. Head to Client, Source, Components, signup.js. We use React Use State Hook to manage user input for name, email, and password. Let's focus on the name input field. We use the onChange event handler to capture what the user type. This handler receives an event object E as an argument. Inside the handler, we access the current value from the input field using e.target.value. Finally, we update the name state variable with this value using setName. Do the same thing for email and password. Once the user clicks the register button within the form tag, the onSubmit event triggers. We define a function called handleSubmit to handle this event. Inside this handleSubmit, we receive an event object E as an argument. To prevent the default behavior reloading the page, we call e.preventDefault. Now that we have the user information, we can send it to the backend for registration. We use the AZ library to make a post request. It's already installed in the last video. The az.post function takes two arguments. The URL will specify the backend API endpoint for registration, which is http localhost 3001 last register in this case. The second argument to az.post defines the data we're sending to the backend. This data represents the user information for registration. We can achieve the same result using a technique called object destructuring. In server models user.js, you can rename the field to lowercase. In signup.js, instead of writing out the entire object properties, we can use object destructuring to create new variables with shorter names. After that, .then handle success, log the result, and navigate to login. Using navigate from React Router DOM, .catch handle the error. To start the project, we first run the backend server, open terminal, navigate to the server directory, running cd server, and then run the npm run start. Next, open another PowerShell window and navigate to the client directory, and then run npm run dev. Now that the front end and back end are running, you can open the MongoDB Compass Let's try registering a new user through the user interface. Enter a username, password, and then click sign up. Once you have successfully registered, go back to the Compass and check the user collection in database. You should see a newly created user information there. This session explains how to set up a login route for a backend application. The code for this route is found in your backend JavaScript file named index.js. We use the app.post method to define a route handler for post requests. This route listens for requests specifically targeting the large login endpoint on your server. We extract the email and password from the request.body. Then we use that email to find a matching user in database. If a user is found with the provided email, we compare the user password stored in database with the password entered by the user during login. If the password match, a success message is sent back as JSON response. If the passwords don't match, an error message is sent back. If no user is found with the provided email, a message is sent back to the JSON's response. Now that we created the login API on the backend, let's build the corresponding front-end component signin.js to handle the user login. This approach will be similar to how we build the registration form. We utilize React Use State hook to manage the user input for email and password. Each input field uses the onChange event handler to update the corresponding state variable with the user input value. The login form uses the onSubmit event handler to trigger the endSubmit function when the user clicks on the login button. This function is slightly copied from the registration page and adapted for the login purpose. Navigate to /home Ensure you import the necessary component. We have successfully created a login functionality for our project. By entering your email and password, you can now log in and be redirected to the home page. This video tutorial is over. Where we have a basic login system, there's room for improvement. Password security. Currently, passwords are stored in a plain text in database. This is security risk. We address this in the next video by implement bcrypt, a secure hashing algorithm to encrypt user password before storing them. Data validation. We need to validate user input during registration and login. For instance, email should include gmail.com or similar valid format, and password should have minimum length. The UI enhancement. The user experience can be improved by adding features like show and hide icon for the password field, and pop-up notifications to confirm successful registration or login. Token generation. We'll explore token generation in the next video, which can further enhance security and user experience. This feature will be covered in the next video tutorial. Subscribe to the channel to ensure that you don't miss out this important enhancement.